Hi, everyone. I'm Yan Ne, a BSc Quantitative Finance Year 2 student from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. The following panel discussion is practical, yet amazing, which we will be exploring the career opportunities in finance. Renowned as an international financial center, Hong Kong offers unlimited opportunities for young professionals to develop a career in finance. Therefore, joining the financial industry has been one of the top preferences for business graduates. With a will to enhancing our understanding on the financial industry, we are grateful to have 4 professional executives today to share their experience and will with us in the form of panel discussion. First of all, we have Ms. Diana Caesar, Group General Manager, HSBC, and Chief Executive, Hong Kong, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation Limited. Ms. Caesar is currently the chairperson of the Hong Kong Association of Banks. During her career with HSBC, Ms. Caesar has held leadership roles in marketing, mortgages and loans, cards, distribution strategy, and consumer propositions in Hong Kong and across Asia Pacific. Ms. Caesar, please. Next, may we have Dr. Au King Lun, Chief Executive Officer of Randall Partners Group Limited. As CEO of Randall Partners, Dr. Au is responsible for the group's business and corporate affairs. He joined the Value Partners in December 2016, bringing decades of asset management industry experience to his role. Dr. Au holds a CFA, and he earned a BA degree in physics from the University of Oxford and a PhD in theoretical particle physics from the Durham University. So, it will be very interesting to hear about how he got into the financial service industry. Dr. Au, please. Also, we have Ms. Winnie Wong, Chief Executive Officer, Asia Insurance Co. Limited. Over 20 years of experience in insurance and risk management consulting, Ms. Wong is very active in the insurance community and serves different roles as advisory and committee member. Ms. Wong was graduated from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, obtained an MBA degree from HKUST, and completed the International Management Development Program at the University of California. Ms. Wong, please. Last but not least, we have Mr. Mervyn Chow, Partners Hill House Capital Management Limited. Mr. Chow is also a member of the FSDC Human Capital Committee. We are pleased to have him as the moderator to chair this session discussion. Mr. Chow, please. Let's start the panel one discussion on career in finance. Please welcome our speakers by giving them a big round of applause. May I now pass the floor to Mr. Chow.
Hello? Okay, so actually the Career Day is actually my favorite FSDC event because I've seen so many young professionals or young students looking for career, and I think that reminds all of us, many years ago when we started looking, and it was how, puzzled we were, but then how this place Hong Kong and how this finance service industry has given us so much opportunities. And I think just to echo what Dr. Laura Chia said was really, it's not about managing your career. There's no such thing as, managing a career, but you can always manage yourself. You manage your learning and manage what you do each day. And I think, the path will lead to whatever it is. And I think through that process, you gain a lot. And I think that's really one of the things that I think Laura mentioned that resonate well. But today we have actually a very distinguished guest. I think you're very lucky. It represents 3 pillars of the finance industry. They are in banking, asset management, and also insurance. Those 3 are very different, but at the same time, doing very similar things, helping the economy grow, savings, as well as channeling the right capital to further grow the company. So maybe we start off, right, with just asking each of them their story. Like, how do you get into your industry? How do you get to your place now? And then what kind of key lessons you learned through that? So maybe I'll start with Diana.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you, Mervyn. I started when I was at university. I was a part-time teller for HSBC in Canada. So I was studying. I had to work to pay my school fees. So I was part-time student, and I was studying at university. That was a mere opportunity that I came across that hiring of HSBC when they were expanding in Canada. After graduation, it was also a coincidence. My first employer, the first employer willing to employ me after graduation was Citibank. So it also happens to be a financial industry. And I worked there for a few years, came back to Hong Kong, worked for Citibank, and then moved to HSBC. I've actually worked for a telecommunications company in between for a very short period of time, a year. And that was in between my mid-career, I suppose, in 2003 to 2004. I made that decision to take on the opportunity because I thought I've been in financial industry for a long time. If I didn't take on the opportunity, maybe I would never try something different. And so I did. And it was a very enjoyable experience because I was doing marketing, I was doing customer service. But I've also learned more about myself, as in I've enjoyed, it wasn't a choice really that I started out in financial industry, but I've enjoyed my days there. I've done different roles. It's actually a much wider spectrum than I ever thought it would be. And when the opportunity came, I went back to HSBC. HSBC was kind enough to have recruited me back. So I rejoined HSBC and stayed there until this current role. And I think, as Laura alluded to earlier, opportunities do come along. You can't necessarily always plan and manage your career, but you can always get yourself prepared to grasp opportunities as they come along. Yeah.
Dr. Al?
Hello. Yeah. When I was a student, I wanted to be an academic. So I joined finance purely by chance because I just finished off my PhD thesis, and then Barings, at the time the largest merchant bank in England, went to university looking for PhDs in physics to join finance. So I was a bit surprised by that. But then I realized, looking back, I was very fortunate, being at the right place, the right time, having the right skill set, because they were looking for quantitative analysts. So I started off as an analyst and then became a fund manager, worked in London, moved to Boston, and came back to Hong Kong in '93. And actually, it was all triggered by the talk of handover, because my firm then, as an American firm, they thought actually that could mean China opening up. So they had the foresight. So sent me back to set up the office. And later, I joined HSBC. And spent 11 years there. And I changed my career again, but again, it was purely by chance. But looking back, I was again very fortunate because it was the Asian financial crisis. It was 97. I was a fund manager, heading up research, and my boss then told me that all our clients panicked, so you better go and talk to them. And that's how I ended up, joining marketing, client servicing, and then moved on to managing the business. So again, looking back, just like the way we do investment in Value Partners, there are 3 R's that we look for. When we do investment, right people, right business, right price. For my career, right time, right place, and right qualification and experience. I think opportunities, place and time actually can be managed, because looking back again, why Barings wanted me to join finance, because London was going through a big bang. Now, why I came back to Hong Kong because of China. Why I moved to business side because of financial crisis. But every time I think being passionate about the job, being committed, that's how you build your experience, like Laura said. That's what I've learned. Being committed, being happy with your job, because if you look at it, you spend more time in the office and your colleagues than with your family. So you really have to love your job. And that's how I've managed to pick up new skills and advance my career.
Hi, I started as a group management trainee with the Swire Pacific Group. I entered the insurance industry really, at a coincidence, because at the around 7th round of the interview, they invited all the managing directors of different divisions to present to us about their industry. And at that time, of course, we knew nothing about insurance because there was no major in insurance and risk management in the old days. And, but then that speaker, that managing director, turned out to be the best speaker. I can still remember what he mentioned. He said, everyone and every industry can be your client. It turned out to be really true because whenever there's a risk, there's a need for insurance. There's a risk that we need to help our clients on. And then he also mentioned that insurance is highly professional and you have to pass a lot of exams and get a lot of qualifications. I like taking exams because you feel like that it's, you can prove that's more professional and you can have a career to advance and progress on. And I think that that's also true when I look back because insurance is something that is easy to learn, but it's very, very difficult to be really specialized in it. And it takes a long time for people to be real insurance specialists. And that's why, the veterans, the insurance experts can never retire in our industry. Yeah, we are short of talent in our industry. And then Swire decided to sell the insurance companies back to the joint venture partners in the late 90s. I decided to stay with the insurance because I've passed all the exams, so I think it would be good to continue to stay with the insurance industry, and also I think it's a very meaningful industry to be able to help our clients and help our customers. And then in 2003, it was the first time, during the SARS year, it was the first time I changed job. I moved to Aon, which is an international risk management consulting and insurance broking firm. Mainly because I wanted to be closer to my customers. And to be a risk management consultant, you have to meet clients from different industries every day. And you learn a lot from your clients. So that was the first time I moved. And then I stayed Aon for more than 13 years. And then the second time I moved was about 2 years ago to Asia Insurance under Asia Financial Holding. Which is listed and headquartered in Hong Kong. And the key reason is I wanted more autonomy to get things done. And since it's headquartered here, we can make quicker decisions and we get a lot more exposure on more strategic investment decisions. So that's roughly my career. But then key lessons learned, as I kept emphasizing, I've been very committed to my industry, that whenever I've chosen an industry, I think it would be good to be committed in it. And I don't change jobs that frequently. Unlike a lot of CVs that I saw, a lot of people nowadays, move very frequently. I think it's probably not very good in the sense that I always think that if you stay with a company longer, then you can really prove yourself and you can put your potential and your talent into full play. So again, to echo the previous speakers, you have to be passionate about your industry. You have to like your industry.
Great. Okay, so that's your learning and history. Maybe I ask a more practical question for all the students here. We've heard a lot about, the banking industry coming under pressure, regulators or even the jobs are, going down because of the replacement of, technology. But maybe each of you can tell briefly about your industry. What do you see the opportunities are in the future, and also for the students here, how can they prepare themselves? What do you look for in a person on that?
Should I start first?
Yeah.
From a banking perspective, and that's really my humble sharing, we like numbers, so let's try to put things in perspective here, just to share what the banking industry really is in Hong Kong. So if you look at the top 100 banks around the world, you have 75 of them having presence in Hong Kong. Of the 30 that are termed and labeled as systematically important global banks, 29 of them are in Hong Kong. So that gives a perspective of the presence and the importance of the industry fueling the growth of Hong Kong and actually prospering with Hong Kong. I think you think of it from those two perspectives. The total assets of the banks in Hong Kong represents 853% of Hong Kong's GDP. So that gives a perspective, again, of what the industry and as well as its potential would be. And I'm speaking only on banking. So there are, in the financial industries, very many different streams, and we have speakers, very distinguished speakers here who'll be elaborating on that. Now, with that in mind, I think the opportunities will continue to fuel. We have population here in Hong Kong, be it retail or corporate clients, as long as we believe there will be trade, there will be international businesses, and there isn't a reason why we would believe otherwise, there will be a need for banking industry. I do think the industry will evolve. So from previously, you guys are very young, but our days, when I was a teller, back when I was a teenager, very simply, you put a check, you deposit a check in an account, and the check is drawn overseas. It takes weeks. It takes weeks to do that. Now, just at the end of September, we've seen a lot of launches in Hong Kong, including the FPS, faster payment systems. Now, that's not a sent for collection from abroad, but that's really real-time processing here in Hong Kong. If you get a remittance from abroad, it clears in a matter of a day, in hours actually. So that's the evolution of over the past couple of decades, how banking industry has evolved. What does that suggest to us in terms of manpower, of resources and expertise? That means traditionally some of the roles that were more manually driven or delivered perhaps could be catered or could be supported by digital services, by AIs, by all forms of digital developments. However, how we apply technology to make the customer journey better, I think that's what is meaningful to our clients and to the industry. How we apply the analytics to spot and manage risks as well as opportunities of growth. I think those can all be areas where you would be venturing or considering venturing into, because there are the technical skills, the specialist skills, but there are also the soft skills of how we service our clients, how we manage finance, how we manage risks. So I think, all in all, the industry itself is not just about financial instruments and tools. It's really about how we service our population. The purpose of banking is to service our clients, is to help them prosper. That's the essence of banking. It's not the industry on its own as in the manufacturing of instruments. It's really a much wider purpose than that, I believe.
I think that's a great point. I think the statistics about the GDP of finance, but also the related part. And I think one of the message we always wanted to communicate is finance is much broader than what you see on TV or when you read on magazine. It's about servicing people with transaction and allocating capital for the economy. So, and especially with the technology, I would encourage all the students to just think about using your imagination, how that can be applied. It be IT, is it legal, is it compliance? I think there's such a big environment that you can be open to, rather than just say I need this job, I couldn't get it, then then I can't get into finance. I think that is again that is a key point. Hopefully people can take away. Maybe Dr. Oh, you can talk a little bit about your industry.
Sure. Yeah, I echo Diana. Actually, financial services is actually a servicing industry, servicing the whole economy. So asset management plays a small role in that. Our industry is actually going through a lot of changes due to technology, due to globalization. I'll give you a few examples. Fee pressure. Some of our competitors actually are offering products for free in the US. right? So they have other ways to make money, of course. There's also a talk of paying clients fees in order to manage their money. Because just like banks, you keep you place deposit with banks, in return you get interest. So why not get the same from your fund managers? I hope, that is only an academic discussion. Otherwise, I'll be joining Diana. So that's the globalization. That's the fee pressure. But also, there's this technology disruption. We've heard of online distribution. That affects the whole industry. Banks, insurance companies, asset managers. Products, a lot of the products become commodities. You can buy and sell them very easily online. And then I am actually relearning my alphabet, ABC. A stands for AI, B stands for big data, and C for cloud. And then you can carry on. These, EF, and they all have their acronyms. But in reality is that we are going through a lot of changes, unprecedented changes. When I first joined the industry, I had to link up 5 or 6 compact computers at the time. That was a top brand in order to do one calculation. Now I can do 10 of those calculations with my mobile phone. So that's the scale of changes. So what kind of skills do we need to equip ourselves nowadays? Obviously, technology is one. Doesn't mean that you have to be a technician, you have to be a computer, but you need to familiarize with what technologies are out there, how you apply those to your work, how you can make yourself more efficient, more well-equipped. And another challenge we see is whether a lot of these technologies will replace human. That certainly in our industry is a real threat. We actually have been using big data analysis ourselves as a firm. So that means we can hire less analysts because a lot of routine work can be done with technology. But it doesn't mean that they can replace human, because I said earlier, our industry is a service industry. It's just that tools will make our job easier, more efficient. But at the end of the day, I don't think it can replace face-to-face human interaction, which is very important. So I think that's the way we should look at technology, seeing them as friends rather than as enemies. So that's one more challenge, and I'll finish now, because I can carry on the whole afternoon. China. China is an opportunity, it's also a risk. I may go back to what I said earlier. I came back to Hong Kong because of China, and I advanced my career also because of China. China is now the largest market in terms of wealth management, and our job as an asset manager is to help create wealth and preserve wealth. So China offers a lot of opportunity. Hong Kong is uniquely placed, because against the domestic players, we are much more international. We're much more connected with the rest of the world. When we compare ourselves against some of the global firms that operate in Hong Kong, we are more local than they are. But then there are also threats, because Hong Kong is small. Some of these firms, be it global or local, they are many times bigger than our local firms. So we need to find an edge to grow beyond Hong Kong. And there are a lot of opportunities, like Greater Bay Area, and also in terms of the products that we can offer, we can make it tailor-made, combining our local expertise with the best international practice. That's how we should compete with the global firms as well as the local mainland competitors, or peers rather.
The insurance, may I first ask a question? How many of you are familiar with the insurance industry? Only a few hands. So I always describe the insurance and the reinsurance industry as the most well-kept secret and the most misunderstood industry, because it always carries a negative image due to the fact that some of the some of the behavior of some of the life insurance agents. But I have to tell you that the insurance industry is far bigger than that. There are a lot of different players, a lot of specialists working in the insurance industry. And it's a very important and meaningful industry because we pay lots of losses, a lot of man-made losses and a lot of natural catastrophe losses. Because of climate change, I'm sure you are familiar with a lot more earthquakes, a lot more typhoons, a lot more hurricanes hitting different countries. And our industry pays billions and billions of US dollars in terms of claims for natural catastrophes. For man-made losses, I'm sure you know the World Trade Center attack alone, we paid 50 billion US dollars. And Lehman Brothers mis-selling cases, we pay blanket bond mis-selling claims for banks. So I always said that if there are no people sitting outside to complain, I'm sure the industry have paid the victims. And then the emerging risks like cyber risks is also insurable, and the insurance industry also pays cyber losses. And I can say that many companies can go bankrupt without insurance. So it maintains the stability of the economy, and it facilitates a lot of economic activities because of insurance. And of course, as Mervyn mentioned, insurance is also one of the key pillars of the financial services sector. Globally, the insurance premium has reached over 5 trillion US dollars every year. And closer to us in Hong Kong, there are 14 insurance companies listed in Hong Kong, and their invested assets total over 17 trillion Hong Kong dollars, which is equivalent to half of the size of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange main board and the GEM market capital. So it's a very, very large industry. And there are also many different players, and I'm sure you are familiar with insurance companies, but you may not be familiar with the fact that there are also a lot of reinsurance companies, and there are life as well as non-life general insurance companies. And there are also captive insurers who self-retain their risks. A lot of big companies run their own self-insurance companies called captive. And of course, there are also many different roles that we hire, like actuaries. We hire a lot of actuaries. We hire a lot of lawyers to handle claims or to design the policies, programs. And also, we hire a lot of risk management consulting experts. We hire a lot of risk modeling and geologist experts. So, and there are different kind of specialists that we hire every year, not necessarily economics or finance graduates. We hire different kind of disciplines. And those people with good common sense, I think that's something that we're normally looking for. And of course, those who are interested in helping others as well, because primarily we are in an industry helping others when they are mostly in need. You know, when the companies are, having big problems, big losses, we are coming into play and helping them. So it's an interesting industry, and it's also an industry with a lot of room for disruption, I have to say. So that's why we have InsurTech. This makes our industry far more interesting. I always describe the insurance companies are like law firms. You know, if you walk into a law firm, walking into an insurance company with a lot of paper, that's very common, very usual. But then it also means that there are a lot of room that we can use technology to help us internally to streamline the process, as well as helping to improve the customer experience. So it will help, you make the insurance industry far more interesting than the old days, I'm sure.
All right. Oh, thank you. I think we can go on for the entire afternoon, but I think the time's up. Do you have time for a Q&A? No. No? Okay. I don't think we have time for Q&A, but I think do come up, in terms when we're supposed to have a Q&A, but if you, but I think we ran out of time. So in the intermission, do come to people on the first row and talk to us. I think we're very happy to, answers any questions, or I think for me, I learned a lot, just looking at mentors or people that are, team boy, and then learning. So please come over. And I think, if it's also the other thing is if you go to the FSDC website, there's quite a lot of papers we published on many of these topics, the industry, what's AI, what is about fintech. I do look at that. I think there's a lot of resources. So thank you very much. Hope we can have another time to chat and talk to you guys later. Thanks.